All right. So this is going to be a fun one. And I've been thinking about this a lot, but people need to know about this because it's so crazy. So if you are in some sort of a cycle where you keep messing up your life over and over, all your choices seem to be wrong, you keep making the same mistakes, you keep dating the same type of people, they keep doing the same bad things to you, things just don't work out no matter what you do. And it's like a cycle of repeating messed up stuff over and over and over. So if that's you, this is going to change your life. So hear me out. But first, I'm Kat, and this is my channel. So I'm happy you found me. This is the most exciting life lesson I've stumbled upon, and you're going to love it. So heads up, I'm not a life coach, but for today's purposes, I'm your life coach. On May 19th, 1994, the year of our Lord, The Opposite, Season 5, Episode 22 from Seinfeld, first aired, forever changing my shitty life. So let's see what happens in that episode. If you've ever seen Seinfeld, and I highly recommend you do, it was a show about nothing, the olden days. And there's this character on it, and his name is George Costanza. And he's kind of like an evil guy, but he's kind of funny, kind of like a mess up in life. And he's the butt of a lot of the jokes and kind of crazy, but it's a great show and one of those misfit type characters. What he does is he realizes everything in his life has gone to shit and he needs to figure out how to get out of this terrible situation. Everything is going wrong. You need to watch the episode. I highly recommend. After this, you go find the episode somewhere, find some clips, get the gist of it because it's really funny too. So I watched this when it first came out. That was enough to get me. Then years later, I'm in a dark place. Everything keeps happening over and over again. I had very short, I wouldn't call them relationships, but like guys that I liked. And then they would do the same terrible thing and then they would just like disappear. And I'd be like, why does this keep happening? Like, what's going on? And I realized really quickly, like, it's me. Like, I'm making poor choices. I'm doing something stupid. So what am I doing? And how do I get out of this stupid cycle that I'm stuck in? So in the episode, he says, all my instincts, they're clearly wrong. Everything I'm doing is wrong. So I have to figure out something else. I'm just going to do the opposite. So that's why the episode is called The Opposite, because everything he naturally wants to do, he's just going to do the complete opposite. And if you're in one of these ruts, this is the key. And I'm not saying, before anybody gets crazy, I'm not saying if you don't do drugs, do drugs. If you're not like this terrible thing, your natural instincts that are not like super destructive, just don't do that. If you think like you're being nice or whatever, just don't do that. Because a lot of people, they think they're being nice and they're actually being kind of crazy, kind of too much, or kind of clingy, or kind of intense. And it's very off-putting to people. And you don't know it. You don't realize you're doing it because you just think you're being nice. You don't know any better. You're like, why is this a problem? I don't get it. And when you're new to life, or when you're like new to like thinking about how you think and how your life is going, which can happen at any age, then you start thinking, maybe it's me. And if it is me, what can I do about it? Because my instincts, they're not it. So what I did was I would have these instincts to maybe do too much for people, like maybe be too friendly in the beginning. Like, let me help you do this. Let me go and bring you food, at work or whatever, when like I just met you or something stupid like that. Or, hey, you want to go someplace? And then they'd be like, no, I don't really want to go. I don't have money. I'll pay for you. Really intense, really psycho. But I didn't know any better. I'm thinking I'm being nice. I'm being super cool. Why is everybody like freaked out by me? But it's because you're too much. You're too intense. You're not laid back enough. You're not chill. You're not fun to hang out with. Or things like let's say, oh, this is a good one. If you're a complainer, You're like, oh, how are things? And you tell them every bad thing that's happened to you. Yeah, you need to do the opposite. You need to force yourself to do the opposite. That wasn't me, but I know people like that. So you need to go, okay, normally when someone says, how are you doing? I would say something like, oh, this happened and my mom's sick and whatever. And I have this pain and whatever. And I need to go to the doctor and check it out. And I have to save money for, some whatever negative spiral. And then people are like, ugh, I don't want to hang out with you. No, this isn't fun. People forget that you have to kind of be fun to hang out with, or people are going to get tired of you. I mean, now and then you could complain, but you have to earn it by being fun for a while before you get to that. Let's not skip the line. There's a process to building friendships and relationships with people. So anyways, I did not do that, but I did do the super clingy new girlfriend thing, calling all the time. And then I remember I would go at first, is this okay that I'm calling you? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, it's totally fine. Whatever, I love hearing from you on my way home from work or whatever. I'd be like, oh, okay, because let me know, if this is annoying. And of course, they wouldn't, but they would treat you differently. She's so clingy to their friends and whatever. And then they eventually lost interest because there's no chase. People like to be chased. Guys like to be chased a little bit, but girls really like to be chased. Guys nowadays like to be chased way too much, and girls are not going to put in that effort. So we need to go back. Guys have to chase. This is a natural way. And when we fight the natural order, when we start chasing the guys, they think they like it. They think they want it, but they're immediately feeling like, ugh, this is an icky, it's too much, it's too soon. There must be something wrong. Anything you chase in nature is going to run. So you can't just chase. You also have to chase, but give them an image of a good future together. That's what guys have to do. Guys have to paint the future with a girl and then have them be like, yeah, I could see myself living like that. I could see myself with you doing that. Yeah, that sounds nice. What guys do now is they don't do anything. They're like, what are you going to do for me? And then girls are like, yikes. But you have to chase girls, and you also have to paint the picture. But girls, when they chase, really gross, really sad, and really off-putting. And I know guys are going to be like, we love it when you chase. We love it. But you don't, because I've seen what happens. It's always the same thing. Oh, she's so nice. She's so great. And then I'm bored, or there's just a hot girl at work, or I saw somebody else and they look really nice. So if everything keeps going wrong, do the opposite. Another example, let's say what's another thing that keeps happening? Oh, if this is a big one, I never did this, thank God, but you go on a date, and every time you go on a date, you have this list of questions and you never get anybody who wants to hang out with you after that. This is really intense for a first date. Please don't do that. Change everything. Change all of your instincts. If that's your instincts to do an interrogation on the first date, you don't. Maybe the third date, in a nice way, you bring up what you see your future like, your morals, your values, your boundaries. You can do that in a nice way, but not on the first date. The first date is only to be chill and to have fun and to casually get to know someone's vibes. That's it. All you should know at the end of a first date is whether or not you enjoyed their company. That's it. You don't need to know their life story at that point. You don't need to know anything else. Just what's their energy like? Did you enjoy their company? Did they make you feel good and uplifted? Or did they make you feel down and self-conscious and all messed up inside? That's all. That's all you need to know. So another thing that I see people do that they need to completely do the opposite. Well, I'm going to do one of mine because this is a real one. And this is what I did in my George Costanza Method days. Let's say whenever somebody, okay, here's this. My dad always told me it's not what people say. What people say doesn't matter. Don't ever listen to anything that a guy tells you, especially. You're only going to watch what they do. That is everything. So common wisdom and my wisdom before this was, if somebody says they really like you, if somebody says they want to be with you forever, if someone says they want to marry you and have kids, that they mean it, right? That's common wisdom. But I kept getting into these problems where people would just like say stuff up front and then like dangle it on the string, and then like nothing would happen, and it'd be a big mess and a big waste of time, pain, suffering, all that stuff you don't want. So what I did was I stopped listening, and I started watching. So instead of what they say, I just, whatever they said, just threw it in the trash, immediately threw it in the trash. How do they act? What are they doing? Like my husband, when we first met, he was like, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious, blah, 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 all this. And then I'm like, okay, he says this. Normally I would run, I'd never talk to him again, and that would be it, done. But what I did instead was, okay, so he says this, but what is he doing? Every time I go there, or if I meet him somewhere, he knows like my food allergies. He's gotten, like I said, I had like lactose intolerant. He bought the little pills and stuff. He's like, okay, you're going to take these before this. And I thought about this, and I know you don't like this. We're going to do this. And it was just like so much thinking about me and how I felt. And that's not something you do if you're using someone for a good time. So I watched that and I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Because they'd be guys that would be like, I want to marry you and have kids with you and blah, blah, blah. I just need more time, blah, blah, blah. But then they would not want to like take you certain places around certain people. They'd like ghost you for a little bit, or they would start fights if you talked about the future and be like, well, we can't talk about marriage now because we're fighting. And I'm just like, well, you started the fight out of nothing for nothing. And it was just like, oh, okay. So this person is saying they want this, but then they're doing all these things so that that won't happen, or they can delay it indefinitely. So that was what I did for my George Costanza method. And it really, really helped. Another thing that I think is crazy that I did was I found people who had the life that I wanted, and then I interrogated them. How did you get this? What if somebody says this? What if when you met your boyfriend, he did this and this? What would you do? How would you react? And I would be shocked, because it'd be like the complete opposite of what I would do, the complete opposite reaction in the body and everything that I would have. And like if somebody said, oh, I was dating so-and-so, but he said he didn't know if he was serious about me, so that he was going to date other people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, did you immediately stop talking to him after that? Did you like never see him? And she's like, no. I said, okay, whatever. I'm going to do the same. No problem. And she's like, oh, and I told him that. And I was dating other people to see what else was out there while he was doing the same thing. And I'm like, I would have never done that, because I would just get so angry if somebody says that. And then she was like, well, he doesn't know you in the beginning when you start dating. He's not going to like stop looking completely until he's sure. And nobody should be sure on a first date. People who are sure on a first date are mentally crazy. They're out there. They're insane. Yes, sometimes it works out, but most of the time, if someone is really pressuring you in the beginning of a relationship to commit immediately, like they're like, I need to lock this down now, there's something wrong. Because anything that chases that hard in nature is a predator, always. Every good person should be somewhat cautious and want to read the room, see how things are going, give it a couple weeks before they say, okay, now I'm sure. Now let's do this. And the people that I know that got married quickly and are still happy and whatever, they knew each other for 3 to 6 months before, but they saw each other almost every day because they really wanted to, like, as quickly as possible, figure out if it was going to work. And that makes sense to me. But the whole like 3 dates in, all right, this is it. You're not seeing anyone else. And like, let's talk about getting married. That's a little crazy. So definitely like push that back. So another thing that I did was, I was talking to one of my friends, and she said that her husband was playing a lot of video games, and it was affecting his work and his time with her and all these things, and that she just got mad one day and she just took it and she like put it in a storage unit. And I was like, how could you do something like that? That sounds crazy. And she's like, well, like when you get married to someone, it's like you have to decide how you want to have your life. And if they're not doing their part, if they're ignoring you, and let's say you have kids, they're ignoring your kids, and all they're doing is that, then you have to like, set a boundary. And that to me was like a little bit shocking, because I'm like, I could never do something like that. And then she's like, you need to have boundaries. You need to, when you first get with someone, say, this is what's okay, this is what's not okay. And I'm like, oh, I never even thought about that, because I was so like young and naive. So, because I always thought whatever people are, that's what they are. You can't change them. You can't make any sort of demands. You can't say whatever. So I would just, if they were like looking at corn on the internet, if they were doing something I thought was whatever, I said, look, I told myself, look, you just got to accept this or move on, because you can't change people, or you can't ask people to like change for you, which was totally wrong. And now I know better. So I remember when I got with my husband, he didn't do anything too bad, but I forgot what he did. He did something stupid. Let's just say, people do. I do stupid things. He does stupid things. We mess up sometimes. So he said something stupid and it was like disrespectful towards me. He thought it was a joke, whatever. And then afterwards I told him, look, you can do whatever you want, but if you're going to do that, I'm not going to be here. And I wasn't threatening him like, you're a jerk, you're wasting my time, you're horrible, how could you be like this, blah, 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 which is what I used to do with the past, because I was crazy. Like anytime you would disrespect me, I would make a scene. Oh, so embarrassing. Anyway, so I didn't do that. And I just set a boundary. And lo and behold, he respected the boundary. That's possible. I didn't know that. So anyways, that is my Costanza method, and I think everybody should use it. Do the opposite of your like instincts, especially in areas where you're just in a cycle of doing the same mistakes over and over. If people keep reacting the same to you, it's you. You got to stop saying all men are trash, all women are trash, and realize you attract what you are. So if you keep doing the stupid things that repel the good people and attract the bad people, you got to do the opposite. And that is my short little spiel for today. I hope you all try it out. Just give it a shot. I mean, like 3 months. 3 months. You have 3 months. Your life is long enough that you can take 3 months out and just do a switcheroo. Do the opposite of everything. And I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to see, oh, people react differently to me now. People are more respectful. They're more kind. They enjoy my company more. They think I'm less annoying. These things matter. So that is all for today. I hope you all give it a shot and that it stops your cycles of messing up your life. And I hope you watch the episode after this. Take care and have a great day.